Hey everybody, the Breaking Hook here. Today we're going to be looking at one of my all-time favourite classic Everquest zones, and that is Castle Mistmoore. It's a zone with a lot of ambience, there's a lot of stuff going on in there. It's a fantastically designed zone. It's a zone I like to spend a lot of time in to this day. So with that being said, let's get right into it. Castle Mistmoore, nestled away in Lesser Fay. If you were anything like me back in the day, I used to be terrified to come here because that run through Lesser Faydark, I don't know, it used to terrify me with the Bixies and that horse. Lesser Fay and Castle Mistmoore, I find really interesting zones on the continent of Faydark, especially Mistmoore. You can really tell a lot of time and effort was put into this zone by the developers, and they pulled it straight out of their D&D campaigns. So the backstory was already there, a lot of the ambience of the zone was kind of set what they were looking for, and there's like a lot of nice little areas to this zone which you don't see sometimes in other zones of this era, such as like Lower Guck. It is an outdoor zone, and that's broken up into a couple of different sections, like the graveyard one that we just saw, and further out is the castle proper. And it's a zone that to this day I really like to hunt in. It's not a zone that comes without risk. The pulls can be very large here. It very quickly can get overwhelmed if you come in here in short order with a group, and you know, it's often quite a long way back from the bind in Greater Fay. But what a zone it is, like what a castle that they built here, and it's got to be honestly one of my favourite all-time Everquest zones. And it's certainly a zone that you can come to on a TLP. There are quite a lot of things to do. You can XP here pretty successfully. It'll take you pretty much from level 15 to mid 30s rather comfortably, and there's also some loot items here which are worth getting on a TLP and are often camped. There's also some quest items to do here, some epic pieces to get, so quite often you'll find that there's people in here, level 50s in here or 60s in Kunak, that are just trying to either get some items or complete some quest. It's not a bad zone to get some platin as well, because there's loads of gargoyles around, and the gargoyles have a really good chance of dropping at least one eye. Those eyes sell for 9-10 plat to a vendor, so nice little way to earn some money here while you are in Mistmoore. Now, it is a really good place certainly to go from like level 20 to level 30, but people do tend to prefer Unrest for the faster XP, and because Mistmoore is harder, there's just so many more mobs here, and there's casters, there's enchanters that will mez you and nuke you and stuff like that. It is definitely a harder zone than Unrest, and the rewards aren't much different. So you will often see there can be 5 or 10 picks sometimes of Unrest, and you'll be lucky to see 1 or 2 of Mistmoore. It's not really a zone where people come and hang out LFG, that's Unrest where people go for that, but it is a zone where you would come if you've already got a group or you're in a static group with a bunch of your friends. Just a quick look at some of the mobs that you'll be facing in Mistmoore. The warriors, these are all kind of warriors, all low level like casters like Mistmoore Guard. The lower levels are all kind of outside, and the further you go in the house, the higher up levels they'll get. You got the gypsies, and they hang around in this kind of music room on the main floor. A lot of them are rogues and like to backstab, so be mindful of that. And some of the lesser annoying casters like the Dark Sacrificer, who'll dot, but they're not too bad. And then you got the like the vampire type mobs. These can be enchanters. They can be great big pains because they will mez you and buff all their friends at the same time, or you're just kind of sat there mez, not being able to do anything. So watch out for those. They're usually found in the upper area of the house or in the bedroom. My favourite, the gargoyles. Lots of different type of gargoyles. And I like how the name kind of says what action they're kind of doing: floating, sneering, jeering and grinning. They're pretty straightforward. They're found throughout the house in the level 20s, and they drop some eyes which are really nice for the plot. And then there's this guy who isn't in the zone, but he's in the zone files, but yeah, you won't be seeing him in Castle Mistmoore. He can appear as part of an anniversary event where he's non-combative, but just found it cool just to mention that there is Mistmoore, who this castle is named after, and what a badass he is with that sword. Alright, so taking a look at the XP camps that you can do in Castle Mistmoore. Really, there's only 3 XP camps that I regularly see groups in. Firstly is the entrance. If you camp in entrance, don't stand at that tunnel entrance. I prefer to stand up here on this hill, because there's no spawns. No one's going to train you up here. It's out of the pathing and you can easily pull here. All the mobs around here you'll easily be able to do between 15 to 20. They're the lowest level mobs in the zone. There's a couple of gargoyles over there by the tower as well that you can do for some of those sweet gargoyle eyes, 9-10 plat at a time. Once you're kind of done, you can pull all through this tunnel as well. They do spawn pretty densely here, so just be mindful if you see one that 4 or 5 could come running at the same time as well. And that easily leads me into the second camp that you often see people at, which is the graveyard. And I think this is the spot that I usually come here and camp at if I'm with a group. You've got the one, but other than that it's a fairly safe little spot, and from there you can continue to pull all the mobs outside. You can drop down into this like crypt, and fun thing about Mistmoore, it's filled with all these like secret passageways. So this is like the back entrance or the secret exit from the castle. You think, oh, door, yeah, but nope, you don't go through the door, because if you try, it's just a wall. Oh, really cool. You just go through the invis wall, up the stairs. Now there was that drop down, so if you do come down up here to pull, you're gonna have to go back outside over this bridge, and then you can just jump down and get these lower level mobs. So again, it's a good little circle to keep pulling mobs and pull a slightly higher one from inside if your group can do it. And where I would normally see if you're gonna be pulling here, like at the later levels, say 25 to all the way up to like mid 30s, you're going to be wanting to go inside a castle. In fact, it's probably the only place you want to be pulling from, where the highest level mobs are. And this is how you get there. You want to stick to the wall, up this little like cliff edge that leads to the front of the castle. And where I like to pull from is by this dark up right here. You park your group here, you got other mobs outside. They shouldn't be too hard to deal with, and your puller's going to be pulling from inside from as many rooms as they can possibly do so. I'd always recommend starting on the main floor, because they're slightly, from what I've seen, slightly lower level than the upstairs behind the bedroom and the library and princess. And you can run straight back, and it's easy as that. And that's the best spot in the zone. Lots of mobs to pull from inside the house. So even though it's a low level zone, there is some loot in Castle Mistmoore that you will want to get. And the first one we're looking at is the advisor robe from an advisor who spawns in like the library area. It's not a bad robe when you're leveling. Intelligence is always good to see. An imp familiar, this guy spawns outside in the graveyard. He's a little bit higher level than the rest of them, so something to be wary of. He drops a dagger, which you can't see because it's bugged out, but it's intelligence 5, so that's not a bad dagger for casters. It's not easy to get intelligence straight away, other than an item like the GBS. And then we've got the eye patch, which is again not a terrible item either. Decent amount of whiz on it, so probably a good early item for a cleric. The butler drops the fang, which we'll come back to, and a cape as well, which is a fair bit of strength on it, but is pretty trash for the classes that is usable by. An avenging caitiff drops the crested spoilers. These are decent, they got a lot of AC on them and stamina, so it's a good combo and probably an easy item to pick up for tanks or clerics early on. Alright, Lasna Chirrut. Lasna is like my secret source of Mistmoore. It's the camp I come to when I'm like semi-AFK, because she drops an item which is good through Kunark and will be good on Yelinak through Kunark, and that's a Diamondine earring, which is strength 3 earring, some HP on it, AC 2. It's good for melee classes to get that strength and the HP, especially good for things like monks. The ring is fairly trash, as some mana, it's negative 5 charisma, so that's like the booby prize that you don't want, but you know, I'd often sell it to necros. Yeah, if I was on a good day I'd see 4 or 5 Lasnas, and you know, that's a lot of chrono from the earrings. But it's my camp and I didn't tell you about it. The Princess Charista, she spawns in the room just next to where Lasna is. She can also drop the earring, but she's less reliable. She doesn't spawn as often and often without loot, and she drops that scepter as well, the gem crusted scepter, which is a really good wisdom class item early on, I guess. It's got a bit of whiz on it. Oh, blast with the horn, because this is the item, this is why you come to Mistmoore to camp. The hooded black cloak from a cloaked vampire. This thing sells for chrono straight off the bat. It is really good for melee classes, lots of strength, lots of HP, and a good amount of AC. Probably at least 2 chrono. It's going to be really sought after on Yelinak, so if there's a camp you want to get, this is probably the one in Mistmoore. It will probably be contested, so keep your eyes open for him, because if he drops that cloak, yep, that's a couple of chrono right there and a very solid item initially while you're leveling up, maybe until you get like a cloak of flames or something like that if you need the haste, but a very solid item. And in my quest to say every name of every NPC that comes across, Menithi Davisi drops a bunch of bard instruments, which makes your songs a little bit better. Quests that you can do while you are hunting in Castle Mistmoore. One of the more popular ones that every shaman will be wanting to do is killing Blackdire. Bring some friends, because it's not just Blackdire, he's got all those wolves with him as well, so they'll take a good group to take him down, and you'll be wanting to get the Blackdire help. Then back to the Avenging Caitiff again, because not only does he drop loot, he's part of a quest where you give him the maids from Butler and Isis, and you get that weapon in return, which is not very good by itself, but rangers will be wanting to do it because it's part of the quest for the Call of Flame spell, which they will definitely be wanting to complete. The sword itself, it doesn't really have any like unique looks or anything, it's just a fairly standard looking sword, but yeah, I always find that cool design, mobs that can drop their own stuff also being part of a quest. And a quick shout out to this guy Zenithi, who is a very sad invisible man whose partner has died, and he wants you to go get a flower from its tomb and take it back to him, and the flower you can typically find a little bag on top of that tomb right there. You give it back. It's part of a bigger necro quest, but it does give you some faction in the Temple of Solsec Row. Oh, Zikathul, an old nemesis of mine, and because he spawns in Lasna's room, he's a Shadow Knight who harm touches, and if I was playing a monk or solo monk, I'd have to just FD and wait for him to despawn, because he does that. He shares a timer with a Mistmoore guard and he will despawn. He's easy at 60, but at 50 he's a little bit more challenging because he's quite tanky and has that harm touch, and he's part of the quest for Soulfire for Paladins. And the last section that we come to is the Honor achievements. What mobs you need to kill in order to get that achievement. And the first one on the list is Avenging Caitiff. He keeps going up on these lists, he's involved in everything, and you get an achievement for killing him as well. Butler Sinkhole, yep, you get, as part of the achievement, you have to kill him. And while you're there, pop next door and kill Maid Isis, because you need her as well. Easy enough to get if you're doing the fan quest. The Cloaked Vampire, probably the hardest one to get on this list because he will be permanently camped early on for his cloak. Garton Viswin, interesting mob who's in some kind of mage tower who spawns on some runes that are clearly dark elf kind of influenced or related. It's kind of cool. You get to him just by going up that lift right there. He also drops a one-handed pointer as well. That's okay, I guess, if you need it leveling. A Glyph Ghoul, I probably should have mentioned this guy earlier because he drops a actually pretty decent shield which has some resists on, and as I said before, resists are important, and you can find him out in the graveyard by the entrance usually. Lasna Charoon, my girl, she kept me company through so many pandemic days on Aradun, and yeah, you have to kill her to get the Hunter achievement as well. And finally, Mithni Davisi, the gypsy musician who hangs around in the music room right by the piano. For me, this zone is what classic Everquest is all about. It's a relatively low level hunting zone, it's a good alternative to Unrest, and a zone I actually prefer to come to over Unrest. It's just a shame it's a little bit more, maybe not so out of the way because Dagnars is a pain, but it's a zone which certainly has more risk than Unrest. There's more mobs, and that's a good thing because more density means more XP, but it is a higher challenge and there is more high level mobs here than I'd say in Unrest, around the level kind of 30 range. There's a couple of decent rewards as well. For me, it's all about that hooded black coat, the diamond iron earring, and you'll often will find me here hunting those, and of course the gargoyles as well, because they're just like what I like to call a nice little bonus to hunting mobs more. A fantastic zone. It's a zone that I really, like I said it earlier, enjoy coming to, enjoy playing in, and it will for certain get some playtime on Yelinak as well. You'll typically see a couple of picks on a TLP in there, and I'll certainly be there. You'll probably see me probably over at Lasna Charoon, or maybe you'll see me in the tunnel selling a bunch of earrings, but that's where I will be. Again, it's a great zone and it's a good alternative if you want to do a bit of plat where you don't have to be as active and you don't it's not as competitive as say the hill giants in Wrath Mountains. This is a lot more of a chill out place to come because gargoyles, keep them coming, because you know, after a day there I've normally got at least a few stacks of gargoyles, 10 plat piece. It adds up, and you know, always buy your chrono as often as you can with your plat. So there is a bunch of other stuff you can do in the zone as well. I've probably missed a load of stuff on the quest list. I tried to pick and choose which ones I feel like you'll get the most value out of doing. There is some minor pieces for say the Magician Epic there, and there is the Bard gear. I know you have to get the loot from the gypsies for the Lambent breastplate, so you'll probably want to do that as well on your Bard. If you're going to be playing on Yelinak, I am actually starting a guild. I've got my own guild going. We've got a really good core group of people from previous TLPs. We're going to be playing in Pacific time zone. So if you're on the west coast of the US or Canada, or you just like playing really late and you're on the east coast, I'll link our Discord below. We're called Stop Yelinak Me, if you get a bit of a pun. But as ever, thank you for watching. Feel free to hit that like and subscribe button. Going to be coming out with more videos as we get closer to the Yelinak launch, so keep an eye out for those, and the bell is the best way to do that. Other than that, you know, links to my own Discord are below, Twitter, Patreon, all that kind of good stuff. I am the Brit Canuck, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.